We'll never see her smile again or hear her laughter. We'll never see her grow, achieve her dreams, or the life she deserves.
The bodies of Melendez and Stewart were found off a rural road outside Washougal in March 2023, days after they were reported missing. They both had bullet wounds to the head, and DNA matching warrants was found on Stewart, indicating sexual abuse. The prosecuting attorney choked up multiple times when describing the details of that crime.
How does a mother and her 7-year-old daughter vanish without a trace? And why is a man with a dark past at the center of it all? What really happened that morning? And what chilling secrets were uncovered? Stay with me, the truth is more disturbing than you think. On March 12, 2023, in a quiet little town called Vancouver, Washington, something very sad happened. A mommy named Mai Melendez and her 7-year-old daughter, Lila Stewart, disappeared. No one could find them anywhere. At first, people thought they just got lost, but soon everyone learned it was a much bigger and sadder story. There were lies, broken promises, and scary things that came out. In the middle of it all was a man named Kirkland Warren. He had done bad things before, and he knew Mai and Lila for a long time. People started asking, what happened that morning when Mai and Lila were last seen? How did Kirkland, who is sometimes in their lives, and sometimes not, become the most important person in this sad story? This is not just about two people going missing. It's a story about tricks, hidden things, and very dark secrets. It made their family and everyone in the town really upset and wanting to know the truth. Before we continue with the story, please take a moment to subscribe for more captivating stories. Your support means a lot. Mai Melendez was 27 years old and a mommy all by herself. She loved her daughter, Lila, so much and worked hard to take care of her. Mai was always happy and full of energy. She liked making fun videos with Lila and putting them on a place called TikTok. Sometimes they danced, sometimes they played games, and sometimes they just acted silly together. Mai and Lila were best friends, and you could tell they really loved each other. Mai showed everyone online that Lila was the most special person in her life. Her family said Mai was a wonderful person with a big heart. She would do anything to make Lila happy. But even though Mai smiled a lot, her life wasn't always easy. She had some hard problems to figure out. The biggest problem was with a man named Kirkland Warren. He used to be her boyfriend, but they didn't always get along. Sometimes they would be friends again, and sometimes they would stop talking. They tried many times to fix things, but it was tough, because there were big troubles between them. Mai had been through a lot, and Kirkland was part of those hard times. Their story wasn't just about happy moments, it had scary times too, when Mai felt afraid because Kirkland tried to boss her around, and even hurt her. Next, there was Lila. She was Mai's 7-year-old daughter, and she was a super happy and bouncy little girl. Lila loved life so much, she really enjoyed being with her mommy, Mai, and Pai, and playing with her family. Lila would pick up the phone and call her grandma all the time. Those calls showed how much her family stuck together like glue. Her grandma's name was Nicole Norris, and she loved Lila a whole bunch. They were really close, like best buddies, and that made Lila's days even cozier and nicer. Lila didn't just make her family smile with her big, shiny grin, she had a sweet and good heart that made everyone feel happy. But something very sad happened later, and that good heart didn't get to grow up because of a bunch of awful things that went wrong. Now, let's look at Kirkland Warren. He was 28 years old, and he's the person who did something really bad that took Mai and Lila away forever. Kirkland's life was full of trouble. He had arguments and lost friends, he got caught doing wrong things by the police, and he had mean ideas in his head that got even meaner as time passed. He didn't always live in Washington where this story happened. Before that, he grew up in a place called Pine Bluff, Arkansas. When he was there, he had a lot of tough times, and those hard things stayed with him when he moved far away to a place called the Pacific Northwest. On December 13, 2022, in a town called Vancouver, Washington, Mai Melendez was in a tough spot she knew well. Kirkland Warren, who was the daddy of her little girl and someone she'd known for a long time, was back in her life again. They had a tricky friendship that went up and down like a seesaw. Sometimes they made up and were nice to each other, but other times there were big worries because Kirkland had done mean things before, like hurting people. That night, they had a fight. Nobody knows exactly why they argued, but it was a big enough fight that Kirkland decided to leave Mai's home. Mai felt nervous and went out to her balcony, which is like a little porch, to see if Kirkland was really gone. Then something scary happened that changed everything. While Mai was standing there, Kirkland shot a gun, and the bullet hit the window near her balcony. It almost hit her, but it didn't. Mai jumped back, surprised and afraid because it was so loud and dangerous. She knew right away that things were really bad. Kirkland didn't just leave, he tried to scare her and put her life in danger. For 10 whole days, Mai didn't tell anyone about the gunshot. Nobody knows for sure why she waited so long. Maybe she was too scared to talk, or maybe she hoped it wouldn't happen again and would just be one bad day. But then on December 23rd, 2022, things got even worse. Kirkland came back and hurt Mai with his hands this time. He hit her, and it left marks on her body. That was the moment Mai said no more. She was hurt and felt very unsafe, so she decided to do something about it. She picked up the phone and called 911, which is the number you call when you need help fast. She told the police about Kirkland hitting her and about the time he shot the gun at her window too. For the first time, Mai told everyone loud and clear that Kirkland was trying to hurt her and make her scared for her life. The police came quickly and started looking into what happened. They found clues that showed Mai was telling the truth. A friend who was at Mai's house that scary night said, "Yes, I saw Kirkland shoot the gun." Because of all this, the police said Kirkland did some big wrong things, like hurting Mai and shooting a gun in a dangerous way, and they took him away to answer for it. When the police took Kirkland away, it felt like a big worry lifted off Mai and her family. Mai thought maybe this time the grown-ups in charge would make things right, and Kirkland would have to pay for the bad things he did. For a little while, they felt better. But that happy feeling didn't last long. When Kirkland went to a place called court, where people decide what happens to someone who broke the rules, the grown-ups there said something surprising. They told everyone that Kirkland wasn't just in trouble in Washington. He was also waiting to go to court for something really awful he did back in 2017 in a place called Arkansas. A long time ago, they said he shot a man with a gun and left him in a ditch, which is like a big hole by the road. Even though that was a super serious thing, Kirkland had been let out of jail by promising to come back later with something called a bond. This news made everyone worried because it showed Kirkland had been mean and dangerous for a long time, not just with Mai. The people in court said loud and clear, Kirkland is not safe to be around, and if he gets out, Mai could be in big danger. So, the court decided Kirkland had to pay $100,000 to get out, which is a lot of money, and they made a rule that he wasn't allowed to go near Mai or her little girl, Lila. This rule made Mai feel a tiny bit hopeful. For the first time, she thought she might be okay, because Kirkland would be watched and couldn't talk to her. But Kirkland didn't want to follow the rules. Even though he was in jail and the court said he couldn't talk to Mai, he found sneaky ways to call her. He used the one phone call he was allowed and even more calls he wasn't supposed to make. Kirkland kept calling Mai over and over, breaking the rule the court made. When he talked to her, sometimes he sounded like he was begging, and other times he sounded really mean and scary. He told Mai she had to take back what she said about him and tell everyone to let him go. Mai felt so much pressure, like a big heavy rock on her chest. She even told Kirkland she'd try to make everything better, even though she didn't do anything wrong. It was a very sad moment because Mai was scared and felt like it was her fault. But it wasn't. She was so afraid, and even though Kirkland was locked up, he still had power to make her feel bad. The police found out about these calls and got mad. They said Kirkland broke the no-talking rule and was trying to trick Mai into helping him, which is called witness tampering. At another meeting in court, the police and other grown-ups said Kirkland should stay in jail where he couldn't cause trouble. They thought he was too risky to let out. One police officer even had an idea. If Kirkland paid the money to get out, he should have to wear a special bracelet on his ankle that tells people where he is all the time. That way, Mai and her family could stay safe from him. When March 8, 2023, came, something surprising happened that nobody expected. Even though the court made Kirkland's bail bigger and told everyone he had to wear a special ankle bracelet that shows where he is, something went wrong. Because of a mix-up with the rules and some problems with how things were supposed to work, that bracelet never got put on Kirkland's ankle. The new troubles Kirkland was in got added to his big case, and his case got moved from one court to another. In all this moving around, the important rule to watch where Kirkland went got lost, like when you drop a toy and can't find it. On the papers the grown-ups looked at, it seemed like Mai and her family were safe, but in real life, they weren't. Just a few hours later, Kirkland found enough money to pay his bail, and by the night of March 8, 2023, he walked out of jail. He didn't have the ankle bracelet on, even though he was supposed to. This big mistake meant Kirkland could go anywhere he wanted, and nobody was keeping an eye on him to stop the bad things that happened next. Then, on the morning of March 12th, 2023, some really scary things started to happen, and they changed everything for Mai Melendez and her 7-year-old daughter, Lila Stewart. It all started the day before, on March 11th, 2023, which was a Saturday. Mai and Lila made a plan to go somewhere with Kirkland Warren, who used to be Mai's boyfriend. This was strange because Kirkland had done mean things before, like hurting Mai, and the court even made rules to keep him away from her. But somehow, Mai was still near him that day. This happened a lot with them. It was a confusing circle. Rules would say Kirkland couldn't come close, but then they'd forget the rules. He'd say mean things, but then they'd act like it was okay again. Kirkland always found a way to come back into Mai's life, and this time was the same. Maybe he wanted to be nice for once, or maybe Mai hoped he could be good. That night they all stayed at a friend's house in Vancouver, Washington. Things between them felt tight and uncomfortable, but it was also something they were used to. Maybe Mai was trying to keep everything calm so Lila wouldn't be upset, or maybe she hoped life could feel steady again. But one thing was for sure, this night was the start of something big and unstoppable that couldn't be taken back. Then, very early in the morning, around 5 a.m., Kirkland and Mai walked outside together. They got into his big, reddish-purple car called a Dodge Charger and drove away. Nobody knows what they talked about in that car or what happened during the next few hours. Only one person could ever tell us the whole story. 3 hours later, at 8 a.m., Kirkland drove back to the apartment building, but something wasn't right. Mai was still sitting in the front seat next to him, but she was leaning over and not moving at all. She didn't answer when people looked at her. Their friends saw her through the window and thought she didn't look awake or okay. Before the friend could even say, "What's wrong?" Kirkland got out of the car and walked inside. He told the friend he came to get Lila. Lila was only 7 years old and had been waiting there for a long time. She didn't think anything bad was happening because she trusted Kirkland. She'd known him since she was little, and he was always around. So when Kirkland picked her up in his arms, carried her outside, and put her in the back of the car, she didn't fuss or say no. Her mommy was right there in the front seat, so Lila probably thought everything was fine. But Mai still wasn't moving at all. Kirkland closed the car door, sat in the driver's seat, and drove off. That was the very last time anyone saw Mai and Lila alive. Their family didn't know what was going on, and neither did anybody else. But those 3 hours that morning had all the answers to what happened. Then, on March 18th, 2023, something started to feel really strange. Mai Melendez wasn't answering her phone, which was odd because she always talked to her family. But what made everyone really worried was that Lila wasn't talking either. Lila was only 7, and she loved calling her grandma to chat about her day, her toys, or her cute pet kitten. Days went by, and there was nothing, no phone calls, no messages, and no sign of Mai or Lila anywhere. Mai's mommy, Nicole Norris, couldn't stop feeling that something was very wrong. That night, she picked up the phone and called the police to tell them Mai and Lila were missing. The police went to Mai's house to look for clues, hoping they'd find something to help. When they got there, everything looked normal. Nobody had broken in, there were no messes or signs of a fight, everything seemed fine. Except for one big problem, Mai and Lila weren't there. The next morning, everyone started looking for Mai and Lila. Family and friends picked up their phones to call people, went to all the places Mai usually liked to visit, and walked the same paths she took to see if they could find her. Then, on March 19th, Mai's mommy Nicole found something that made her even more scared. She saw Mai's white car, a Chrysler, parked all by itself near a big shopping place called Vancouver Mall. The car was just sitting there, and nobody was in it. Lila's special seat, the one that keeps her safe in the car, was in the back, but it was empty. If Mai had decided to leave on her own, why would she leave her car behind? That didn't make sense. Right then, everyone started thinking the same thing. The last person who was with Mai and Lila was Kirkland Warren. So that very same day, the Vancouver police jumped into action. They got a special paper called a warrant that let them go to Kirkland's house, and they took him to jail right away. They said he broke the rule about not talking to Mai and tried to trick her into helping him. But those reasons weren't about Mai and Lila being gone. The police were smart, they wanted more time to look for clues, and they needed to find proof. And then they did find something. The police looked inside Kirkland's reddish-purple car, the Dodge Charger, which was the last place Mai and Lila were seen. When they checked it, they found red spots of blood inside. Later, special helpers who know about blood said it came from one of the missing people. They also found little pieces from a gun under the seats, like the part that comes out when you shoot it. Lila's clothes, her little things that showed she was just a kid, were thrown in the back. Mai's ID card, the one that says who she is, was there too, left like it didn't matter. Then there was more. They looked at another car Kirkland had, and in a secret spot in the middle of it, the police found a gun. That gun matched the little pieces they found in the charger. All these clues were starting to fit together like a puzzle, but one big piece was still missing. Maya and Lila weren't anywhere to be found. Everyone in the town held their breath, waiting and hoping. Groups of people went out to search everywhere they could think of, but they didn't see any sign of Maya or Lila. Maya's family kept trying and didn't want to stop, even though deep inside they were starting to feel really scared that something terrible had happened. Kirkland was locked up in jail now, but he wouldn't talk at all. He didn't say sorry, he didn't explain anything, he just stayed quiet. Everyone wanted to know what happened, and soon they would find out. On March 22nd, 2023, a worried person walking by in a place called Washougal, Washington, saw something strange and called 911, the number for help. They noticed two shapes in the thick bushes by a quiet road far away from houses. At first, they thought the shapes looked like store dolls or toys, but something didn't feel right, so they told the police to come check. When the police got there, they walked through the bushes and found out the sad truth. Those shapes weren't dolls, they were the bodies of a grown-up lady and a little kid, left there like someone didn't care about them. Soon, everyone realized who they were. It was Maya Melendez and her 7-year-old daughter, Lila Stewart. This was a very sad moment for everyone looking for them. The search that started days ago to find the missing mommy and her girl ended in a way that broke everyone's hearts. Maya and Lila's family and all the people in their town felt so sad when they heard this news. As the police kept looking into what happened, they figured out this wasn't just an accident, it was something someone planned to do on purpose. The way Maya and Lila were left in the woods, tucked away in the bushes, showed that whoever did it thought about it first. It was upsetting to see them left like that, but it was clear someone meant to end their lives in a sneaky way. The doctors who checked bodies found out something awful. Maya and Lila died because they were shot with a gun. Maya had one bullet hole near the side of her head by her left ear. Lila, her little girl, had 2 bullet holes in her head. This showed how mean and scary the whole thing was as the police learned more. But there was even more to this sad story than just them being gone. When the police looked at Lila's body, they saw signs she had been hurt in a bad way before she died. Special helpers who know about tiny clues, like DNA, tested things and found out the worst part. The clues on Lila matched Kirkland Warren, who used to be Maya's boyfriend, and was the last person seen with them. The police found out more scary things besides the hurting that happened. They looked at Kirkland Warren's phone and saw stuff that made them really worried. In the days before Maya and Lila's bodies were found, Kirkland used his phone to look up things like how to clean blood off a car seat. He also searched for other ideas that showed he wanted to hide what he did wrong. Some of the things he looked up were how to get blood out of a car seat, how to not get caught for murder, and how to stop the only person who saw. These searches showed he was trying hard not to get found out. The police kept looking and found something else sneaky. After Maya was gone, Kirkland took her phone and moved $4,200 from her money place to his own money place. That's a lot of dollars. This tricky money move was another clue that Kirkland did something bad. All these clues together, the creepy phone searches and the money he took, made it super clear this wasn't just something he did because he was mad right then. It was something he planned carefully with hurting and hiding so no one would catch him. Everyone in the town and the police felt shocked and sad about it all. What started as a hunt to find a missing mommy and her little girl turned into finding out about a mean, planned thing that took their lives and broke trust in a big way. Then, on March 17th, 2023, the police were working extra hard to figure out what happened to Maya Melendez and her daughter, Lila Stewart, who went missing. They were already putting together clues that pointed to Kirkland Warren. But what they learned next made the mystery even bigger. Kirkland Warren had a past full of trouble, and it wasn't until Maya and Lila were gone forever that everyone found out how bad it was. He had been in trouble with the police for years, and it kept happening again and again like a pattern you can't miss. Kirkland grew up in a place called Pine Bluff, Arkansas. His daddy was a judge there, a person who helps decide rules for people. But in 2009, his daddy had to stop being a judge because people said he did wrong things, like making fake papers and trying to take stuff that wasn't his. These early problems were like a sign that Kirkland might have a tough time later. But it took a long while before everyone saw just how mean and rough he could be. Back in 2017, a few years before Kirkland moved to Vancouver, Washington, he did something really bad to a man named Curtis Card, who was 57 years old. Curtis got shot in the head with a gun, and Kirkland left him in a ditch, which is like a big hole by the road, where someone found him later. Kirkland was only 22 then. He and Curtis didn't get along because Curtis kept asking Kirkland for money. When Kirkland said no, they had a big fight, and it got so bad that Kirkland used a gun to hurt Curtis and then hit his body. This showed that when Kirkland got upset, he turned to mean and scary ways to fix things. Even though this was a big problem, Kirkland didn't stay in jail. He paid $250,000, which is a huge pile of money, to get out with something called a bond, promising he'd come back later. After a while, people stopped talking about that case and it seemed to go away. But Kirkland didn't stop doing wrong things. In 2020, the police caught him with a stolen gun that shoots fast. They took it away from him, but Kirkland didn't care about the rules. Then, in 2021, he tried to buy another fast-shooting gun by filling out a paper and lying. He said he hadn't done big bad things, but that wasn't true, so they said no to giving him the gun. Somehow, Kirkland still got a gun anyway, and that gun ended up being super important in the sad things that happened later. When the police started looking for Mai and Lila after they went missing, they already knew Kirkland was part of it. They found out about all the bad stuff he did before, like the time with Curtis in Arkansas, and it started to make sense. The mean things he did a long time ago were connected to what happened to Mai and Lila, and the police couldn't pretend it wasn't a big deal. Finding out about all this made them wonder, how did Mai and Lila get mixed up with Kirkland? How did his rough past lead to them being gone? The police kept searching for more clues and learned some upsetting stuff. It wasn't just that Kirkland got mad easily, he also wanted money, and that was part of why he did these awful things. In November 2022, just a few months before Mai was gone forever, Kirkland's wife, Monet Tyler Warren, got mixed up in a sneaky plan that later tied her to Mai. Monet worked at a bank in a place called Portland, Oregon, where people keep their money safe. The police started looking into her, because they thought she took money that wasn't hers, $25,000, from people who trusted the bank. She used her job to change things on the bank's papers and send the money to other places. But that wasn't all. The police found out Monet did something even bigger. She changed more papers and moved a huge amount, $220,000, into an account with Mai Melendez's name on it. They saw Mai on a video camera going to the bank during the time the money was taken, so it looked like Mai and Monet were working together on this tricky thing. Nobody was sure if Mai knew everything about the plan, but it was clear the two ladies were connected. Later, Monet told the police she did it because Kirkland, her husband, asked her to move the money for him. This was another piece of the messy and hard story between Mai and Kirkland, which was already full of fighting, scary words, and rules to keep him away from her. Then, in September 2023, just a few days before Kirkland was supposed to go to a big court day to answer for what he did, he made a really important choice that changed everything. He said, "Yes, I did it," to hurting Mai Melendez and her 7-year-old daughter, Lila Stewart, so bad they couldn't live anymore. He also said he did a very mean thing to Lila, but the way he said it made people feel uneasy. At first, Kirkland told the police he didn't do anything wrong. When they asked him questions, he tried to make up a story that wasn't true, saying Mai hurt herself and Lila with the gun while they fought over it. Nobody believed him because that didn't make sense. The clues the police found showed it was all Kirkland's doing, not Mai's. He couldn't hide from what he did anymore. It was too heavy for him to carry. The grown-ups in court could have said he'd go away forever, or even stop living as punishment, so Kirkland picked a deal instead. But he made it tricky with the part about hurting Lila. He used something called an Alford plea, which is a special way of saying, "I won't say I did it, but I know you have enough clues to prove it." It was like he was too scared to say he was bad, but it didn't change what was going to happen to him. Then the big day came, October 8, 2024. It was the day the court would decide what happens to Kirkland. The room where they decide things was full of Mai and Lila's family, who were all super sad. You could feel how heavy their hearts were, and you could see the sadness on everyone's face. Lots of them wore special shirts with happy pictures of Mai and Lila smiling, so they could remember the good times they lost. Some family members were really mad, and they didn't hide it. They stared right at Kirkland Warren and said they hoped he'd feel bad every single day he was in jail. It was strong and real and made your heart hurt to hear. But the sad truth was, even if Kirkland stayed in jail forever, it wouldn't bring Mai or Lila back to their family. The judge, the grown-up in charge of the room, talked straight and serious. He said he knew how much pain Kirkland caused, and it was so big no one could really understand it. He said no punishment could fix the awful things or bring Maya and Lila home. Everyone in the room got quiet, waiting to hear what the judge would say next. Then he said it: Kirkland would stay in jail for his whole life and never get out. That was that. Kirkland Warren wouldn't be free again. This was what he got for taking away two sweet people, a mommy and her little girl, and keeping them away from their family forever. It felt a little like things were made fair, but even so, nobody walked out of that room feeling happy or like everything was okay again. The hurt was already too deep. When Kirkland was taken away with cuffs on his hands, his future all decided, the family stayed in the room. They were still so sad, but they felt a tiny bit better because they worked hard to make things right, and now it was done. But they started to see that even with this fairness, it couldn't fix their broken hearts. Losing Maya and Lila was something that would stay with them always, like a heavy feeling they couldn't shake off. Now, let's stop and think about how the people who make rules and keep us safe did their job in this sad story about Maya Melendez and her daughter Lila Stewart. This story makes us ask some big questions, especially about letting people out of jail with money and about people who keep doing bad things over and over. Kirkland Warren had done mean stuff before, like hitting people and even hurting someone so bad they didn't live anymore. But they still let him out of jail a few times if he paid money, called bail. This isn't just something that happened once, and it makes you think, did the grown-ups in charge check well enough to see if Kirkland was too dangerous to let out? Should they have stricter rules for someone who's been roughed before when they let them go with bail? I mean, Kirkland had big troubles he needed to answer for, but he still got to walk around free. So it makes you wonder, should there be more ways to keep people safe, like watching him better or thinking harder about the rules for letting him out, especially since he had so many problems in his past? It's a hard job for the rule makers. They have to keep everyone safe, but also be fair to the person in trouble. But when you hear a story like this, it's tough not to think maybe they forgot something important. Then there's something else to think about: rules to stop fighting at home. Maya had a special rule that said Kirkland wasn't allowed to come near her. It's called a restraining order. But even with that rule, Kirkland still found ways to talk to her. This makes us ask a big question: are these rules really doing their job? Restraining orders are supposed to be like a strong wall to keep people like Maya safe from getting hurt, right? They're made to stop bad things from happening, but sometimes they don't work the way they should. In this story, even though there was a rule keeping Kirkland away, he still got through, and that makes us wonder, do these rules really keep people safe enough? Maybe we need to figure out better ways to make sure the rules work, like watching more closely or checking in to see if people who need help are okay and not left in danger. It's a hard thing to talk about, and nobody knows the perfect way to fix it. But stories like Maya's show us we need to keep talking about it. These questions make us think carefully about how we help people who are scared at home, how the grown-ups who make rules do their jobs, and if the rules really keep people safe. The law helps a little, but it seems like we might need to do more to protect people who are in trouble, and that's something important to think about. And now we're at the end of this very sad story about Maya Melendez and her daughter Lila Stewart. It's a story that makes us think about how much meanness is out there, and if the people who need help the most are really safe. We'd love to know what you think. Tell us your ideas down below where you can write to us. If this story made you think a lot, don't forget to press the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more stories like this. Doing that helps keep these stories going, and when you help us, it lets us tell more people about important things that need to be heard. Thank you for listening to this story with us.